you know, if you got a lot of money, you can buy almost anything, right? You know, you can, yeah, anything's for sale. There's a price, but some things you just can't buy. Some things you just had to be there, right? And today's offer is about you just had to be there. The Blachon family is one of the first families of winemaking in Saint-Joseph in the northern Rhone Valley. And, you know, they go back to a time where wine wasn't necessarily like the main thing. It was one of the things. But these guys were doing cherries. They were doing peaches, I think. You know, it was a multi, you know, like a, not a monoculture. What's the opposite of monoculture? Multiculture. New Year still wreaking havoc on me. Situation. And basically what happened is, you know, the boys got a little more serious about making, well, not the boys, Roger himself, Roger Blachon, got a little more serious about making wine, though he had always bottled. Even prior to World War I, he was bottling wine and selling it locally, friends, et cetera, et cetera. And eventually he became just like a really great, reputable producer of wines in the Saint-Joseph area, particularly in the 70s, when things started kind of blowing up a little bit, and people were like, tell me more about this Rhone wine, right? And he was there, and all of it happening at that point in time. He suddenly passed 2006. His kids, Delphine and Sylvain, took over, but they were teenagers when they took over. I mean, smart teenagers, and they probably knew more than a lot of other teenagers did about making fine wine and great terroir in Saint-Joseph. But, you know, they didn't quite have the chops, so it took them a little while to learn. But once they learned and they got everything under control, boy, oh boy, what wines. The Domaine carries a very low profile. You don't see these wines reviewed. You don't see them talked about in the open market. And they have teeny tiny production. Only about, I think, 60 cases of this wine makes it to the U.S., quite honestly. So it's just it's a wee smidgen, but of super high quality. And even though, you know, they talk more about the red wines from Saint-Joseph, which are getting some great wine right now, it's the white wines from Saint-Joseph which are really starting to spark. These blends of Marsanne and Roussanne, especially heavy on the Marsanne side of things, are becoming more and more endearing to customers, especially as the winemakers in Saint-Joseph figure it out and really start hunkering down and making just really, really brilliant wine. Now, it's not a lot of technique and artifice with these wines, so it's all about the vineyards. The vineyards are key when growing great grapes in the northern Rhone Valley. A lot of exposures, a lot of hillsides, a lot of swales, a lot of ins and outs. In this case, well, the Blachon family owns vineyards in both the top red and white terroirs. The Côte de Saint-Joseph, the big hill that you see when you're in town in Tournon, they own vineyards there. And for white wine, they own vineyard in arguably the finest terroir in Saint-Joseph for white wine, which is Les Oliviers. Les Oliviers. Very, very famous site, especially amongst the Rhone cognoscenti. If you're in downtown Saint-Joseph and ask a young, up-and-coming, aspiring vigneron what wine vineyard they would like to own to make white wine in the northern Rhone Valley, they would say Les Oliviers. There's two main producers in Les Oliviers that I'm aware of that actually label it as such. Blachon, and the other is a little producer by the name of Rhone, who you may have heard of. Basically the single cultiest, hottest, super dork Saint-Joseph producer out there. His red wine is also from Les Oliviers, right? Very, very special terraced vineyard that you'll see a picture in the article when you scroll down and have a gander. It's a beautiful site. So the Blachon 2021 Saint-Joseph Blanc Les Oliviers is 90% Marsanne, 90 or 95% Marsanne, with what they refer to as a little dot of Roussanne, making its way into the blend. And the vines have to be close to 50 years old at this juncture. The vines are getting really old. And the wine is made in the simplest way possible. It's cement and older, larger casks, and that is it, right? As clean and pure as it gets. And the result is absolutely gorgeous stuff. Now, if you never had a white Rhone from the north before that wasn't Viognier, well, then you kind of have to prepare yourself a little bit, because the flavor profiles here are also exotic, but not in a way that Viognier is exotic, with all of its florals and almost honey tones. Here, you have this stone fruit character, you have this wonderful melon character, and almost like an irony character framing around the outside. These wines can age like the Dickens. These wines age 20 years with a drop of a hat. And they're complex, and they're appealing, but they're not blatantly appealing. There's an appeal that's like, right? You're going, I like this. Why? And the why is at the inherent core of this wine. The Marsanne, the Roussanne playing together in these granitic soils. And that creates the why. That creates complexity. And that makes you want to drink more, like I'm doing right now. Gorgeous stuff. 21, actually a rough vintage for reds, but great for whites. The cooler, more difficult years, outside of frost and hail and all those horrible things, but from a quality standpoint, the white wines from cooler vintages, as in Bordeaux, as in Burgundy, really bring the drama. And this 21 is just now, it's barely coming out of its cocoon, you know what I mean? We're almost 4 years old now, hey, 2025, and this wine is just now kind of starting to emerge. A long window ahead of it, long window ahead of it. I adore these wines. We drink a lot of white Rhone around here, Chateauneuf Blanc, Saint-Joseph Blanc. We drink Condrieu. We drink, well, we can't afford Hermitage Blanc because we're wine merchants. Many people that buy wine from us can afford Hermitage Blanc, and accordingly we sell a bit. But there you have it. This is truly amazing stuff, and now it gets more amazing because this wine's usually around $35 retail, which is already pretty banging price for a wine at this quality level. Already a deal. But we finagled a little year-end deal with the powers that be, and we can run this to you out at $19.98 today. $20 a bottle for a very, very exciting white Rhone. And yeah, the only problem is, the non-exciting part is there just isn't that much of it. I think there's 22 cases, which for us, as you know, isn't a ton. So get in there, get dirty, get clicking, get buying. You're going to love it.